Japan is known as the land of the rising sun. But what does that mean? What's the untold history behind this popular nickname? Why did they choose this particular name? How does it relate to their flag? You might be surprised to hear that there are many different theories about this, and no one really knows which one is true. In today's video, we'll discuss the possible origins of the name and see what clues we can find in the stars. The Japanese word for sun is Taiyo, which is made up of two kanji characters, one for the sun and the other for day. When these two characters are put together, they make the kanji for Japan, Nihon or Nippon. This isn't a coincidence, and it's thought that the Chinese pronunciation of these characters, Ri-ben, may have been the inspiration for the Japanese name. Now, there are some problems with this theory. For example, the Chinese pronunciation of the kanji for sun is more like li than ri. But there's also the fact that the Chinese word for Japan was actually zhang. This is the name that Korea used for Japan before they started using the name Hangak, which literally means morning, noon, and night. These names were given because of the three mountain peaks on the southern part of the Korean peninsula, which resemble the kanji for those words. So even though the name may have originated from China, the Japanese adapted it and made it their own. But what about the name Rising Sun? In Japanese, it's called Shazon-shu, which means sun that crosses the sea. But where did this come from? One theory is that it comes from an ancient poem called Man-yosa Atsu, which dates back to the 8th century. It says, "From east to west across the sea, the sun travels over the land." Another theory is that it comes from a misunderstanding by Westerners who thought that the Japanese sun goddess, Amaterasu Omakami, rose in the east and set in the west, just like the actual sun. There may be some truth to this, because many early Western accounts of Japan do mention a sun goddess. However, it's not clear if they actually believed that she was the same as the actual sun, or if they just said that because they thought the Japanese believed it. We know that the Japanese emperor was considered the descendant of the sun goddess, but it's unclear if that meant he was the literal son of the sun or just a metaphorical one. Some scholars believe that the Japanese took the title literally and thought that the emperor was the reincarnation of the sun. This may have been a way to legitimize the emperor's power and make him seem more divine. But others argue that the Japanese never took this title literally, and that it was just a way to show respect to the emperor. In reality, the Japanese probably had no say in the matter. The name was most likely given to them by the Chinese and Koreans, who were their first point of contact. After all, the Chinese had been using the kanji for Japan for hundreds of years before the Japanese came up with their own writing system. So it makes sense that they would have been the ones to give them a name. Today, the rising sun is featured prominently on the Japanese flag. It's a red circle on a white background, and it symbolizes the sun goddess Amaterasu Omakami. So what did the Japanese use for a flag before they adopted the rising sun? Surprisingly, we don't know. The earliest record of a Japanese flag dates back to 1192, when a white flag with a red circle was used by the shogun Minamoto no Yoritomo. It's possible that this was the first Japanese flag, but we can't be sure because there are no records or artifacts to prove it. What's interesting is that the red circle on the white background design was actually stolen from the Koreans. At the time, both Japan and Korea used a white flag with a red circle. But the Japanese changed their flag to a red circle on a white background to distinguish themselves from the Koreans. They continued to use this flag design until the end of World War II, when it was replaced by the current flag design. So there you have it, the untold history of the rising sun. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.